They thought they had the perfect plan. A group of corrupt officers, tired of being challenged by a black woman who dared to rise in their city, decided to silence her the only way they knew, by framing her. Bribes whispered in dark corners, false evidence planted with careful precision, and a judge ready to bend the truth for the right price. But what they didn't know was that the woman they targeted wasn't just any defendant. She was about to change everything. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Her name was Maya Thompson, a sharp, determined lawyer who had built her reputation on exposing police misconduct and fighting for marginalized voices in her community. She wasn't rich, but her strength came from something money couldn't buy: her relentless pursuit of justice. Colleagues admired her, and communities relied on her, but enemies in power saw her as a threat. To them, Maya was dangerous because she couldn't be bought, couldn't be silenced, and couldn't be intimidated. On the surface, it looked like just another ordinary case crossing her desk. But this one was different. Whispers began to follow her: name, strange calls late at night, and the sudden coldness from people who once greeted her warmly. Something was moving behind the scenes, and she could feel it pressing closer. Maya didn't know it yet, but she was walking straight into a trap. The trap was carefully set. A group of officers, already under scrutiny for brutality and corruption, saw Maya as the reason their careers were in jeopardy. If she could be taken down, their secrets would remain buried. They began weaving lies, claiming Maya had accepted bribes from criminals, suggesting she had tampered with evidence, and portraying her as the very thing she fought against. Behind closed doors, they approached a judge whose record was already tainted. With money slipped under the table and promises of protection, the judge agreed to play his part. Suddenly, files appeared with Maya's signature forged, her bank account showing suspicious deposits, and whispers in legal circles that she was under investigation. The day came when Maya found herself sitting not as a lawyer defending the innocent, but as a defendant fighting for her own name. The courtroom buzzed with shock. How could the woman who fought for truth now be accused of corruption? Friends questioned her, enemies gloated, and the system seemed stacked against her. But Maya wasn't broken. She studied the evidence, every detail, every inconsistency. She noticed things others overlooked: the sloppy handwriting on forged papers, the unusual timing of the so-called transactions. She knew the truth was on her side, but the weight of power pressing against her was enormous. Would anyone listen before it was too late? The trial reached its peak when the officers took the stand, smirking with confidence. Their stories lined up too perfectly, rehearsed like a script. The judge, leaning forward, seemed ready to seal Maya's fate. The crowd whispered, the air thick with anticipation. Then, just as the gavel was about to fall, Maya rose with a calm, fire in her eyes. She produced documents they hadn't expected, records they failed to erase, proof of their bribes, and evidence that the judge himself had been compromised. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. The officers' faces drained of color, and the judge's hand trembled. In that moment, the power shifted. The hunted was no longer prey. The truth had exploded into the open, and silence fell like thunder. Third, verdict was swift. The officers who once believed themselves untouchable were led away in handcuffs. The judge was stripped of his position, disgraced before the very system he had corrupted. And Maya? She walked out of that courtroom not as a broken woman, but as its new leader, soon appointed to oversee judicial reforms that would change the city forever. Her rise was not just about one case, but about exposing a truth too many tried to bury, that racism and corruption walk hand in hand when power goes unchecked. Maya's victory was more than personal. It was a symbol of resilience, a reminder that the system can be challenged and justice can still prevail. How many more stories like hers remain untold? Which country and city are you watching from? Take care.